There are years that offer clarity, years when the fog lifts, when questions find their answers, when the unknown retreats before the advancing light of understanding. 2025 was not such a year. Instead, it was a year of incursions, a year when the boundaries we thought secure revealed themselves as permeable. When the unknown did not wait passively at the edges of our knowledge, but moved deliberately into spaces we had marked as controlled, as monitored, as safe. It crossed into military airspace. It emerged from the stillness of ancient deserts. It swallowed vessels from the sky without warning, without trace, without mercy. We live in an age of unprecedented surveillance. Satellites chart every meter of the Earth's surface. Digital systems track the movement of billions. We have wrapped the world in sensors and declared it known. And yet, in this year that has just passed, 3 mysteries emerged that defied not merely our technology, but our fundamental assumptions about security. Mortality, and the very nature of disappearance in the modern world. These were not ancient enigmas, buried in centuries of legend and conjecture. These were immediate, contemporary, occurring in real time before institutions designed specifically to prevent them. They were incursions into the heart of our certainty. Welcome back to Whispered Chronicles, Echoes of Forgotten Lore. Tonight, we examine them not for answers which remain elusive, but for what they reveal about the limits of our dominion over the observable world. We begin where all modern mysteries must begin, in the realm of sovereignty, of borders. Of the spaces nations protect with the full weight of their technological capability. We begin with the invisible fleet. Something strange started happening in the last few months of 2025. High in the skies over France and Ireland, things began to appear. Not meteors, not strange weather, and definitely not passenger planes. They were drones. It's unidentified, highly advanced, and flying freely over some of the most restricted and heavily defended places in all of Europe. They almost always came at night, like shadows moving against a darker sky. They were seen near nuclear power stations in France, where any unauthorized flyover isn't just a security breach, it's a potential disaster. They appeared above military installations in Ireland, hovering in patterns that screamed surveillance and reconnaissance. And this wasn't a one-time thing. It happened again and again, systematically, as if they were following a set of orders that ignored every international law and boundary. Now, the mystery of this invisible fleet isn't about what they are. Physically, we know they're drones, man-made machines. The real mystery comes down to 3 huge unanswered questions. First, who was flying them? Despite throwing every piece of counter-drone technology we have at them, despite advanced tracking systems designed to trace signals right back to their source, the operators have remained completely invisible. No radio signals were ever intercepted that led to a controller. No satellite data revealed any command centers. These drones seem to operate with a level of autonomy or stealth that was simply beyond our defensive capabilities. It's like chasing ghosts. Second, what was their goal? Surveillance seems like the obvious answer, but the targets were all over the place. Some were critical infrastructure, sure, but others were military bases with almost no strategic importance. If there's a pattern, no one has been able to crack it yet. Were they looking for weaknesses? Testing how fast these countries could respond? Or was the flight itself the message? A bold statement that the concept of a country's sovereign airspace is now just an idea on paper, not a physical reality. And third, the most unsettling question of all, why couldn't they be stopped? These weren't satellites miles up in orbit beyond our reach. They were physical objects, flying at altitudes where any modern military should have been able to take them down. But every attempt to jam their signals failed. Every effort to track them back to where they launched from came up empty. In a few documented cases, they just vanished from radar, as if they crossed some invisible line where they couldn't be seen anymore. Some analysts believe this is the new face of modern warfare, a kind of hybrid conflict fought not with armies and official declarations, but with constant probing intrusions that blur the line between peace and aggression. And it's a way to keep your enemy on edge, to destabilize them without ever firing a shot. Others point the finger at powerful criminal organizations that have somehow gotten their hands on military-grade tech. Or maybe it's a rogue nation-state, secretly testing the weak spots in Western defenses, looking for a seam to exploit later. But maybe the most chilling explanation is also the simplest one.
Yeah.
In our race to build autonomous systems, have we accidentally created technologies that are now so complex, their operation and control have become a black box, even to their creators? What if this invisible fleet isn't an invasion from another country, but a sign that we've lost control over the technology we've unleashed within our own world? These strange flights continued all through November and December. Investigations are still ongoing, but so far no arrests have been made. No group or nation has been definitively blamed. The skies above Europe, once thought to be completely secure, have now been proven to be contested territory. The unknown has breached our defenses, and as of today, we have no real explanation to offer. Other than admitting we couldn't stop it from happening, and we can't guarantee it won't happen again. From the drones in the airspace over Europe, we focus our attention now to the desert of Nevada. The desert has a way of keeping secrets. It's a vast, silent archive where time moves differently. Heat and dryness conspire to preserve things that would crumble to dust anywhere else. But sometimes, the desert doesn't just keep secrets, reveals them. And in the Nevada desert this year, the wind uncovered something that shattered our understanding of the world. Imagine a remote, unforgiving expanse of land. No roads, no buildings, no signs of life are there. Scattered across the scorched earth are 70 piles of human remains, all cremated, all deliberately arranged. This wasn't an ancient burial ground. Forensic teams determined the cremations happened recently, within the last decade. It wasn't a recognized ceremony either. Experts are baffled. This wasn't a single, tragic event, but a prolonged, systematic activity. Each pile contains the ash and bone fragments of a human life reduced to its most basic elements. They vary in size, hinting at people of different ages. There are no markers, no names, no headstones. Just 70 silent offerings to the vast emptiness. The questions are chilling. First, who were they? Standard police work like dental records and DNA analysis takes time, but the state of the remains might make identification impossible. These people weren't just taken from life, so they might be erased from history itself, their entire existence wiped clean. How can families find closure for someone they don't even know is gone? Second, how did this happen? Cremation isn't simple. It requires specialized equipment and legally a lot of permits. 70 cremations point to one of two terrifying scenarios. Either someone had secret access to a legitimate facility for years, or they built their own illegal crematorium hidden deep in the wilderness. Both options require immense planning, resources, and a motive strong enough to justify such an incredible risk. But the deepest, most haunting question is, why? Why this specific, remote spot in the desert? If the goal was to hide bodies, there are far easier and more effective ways. The desert doesn't conceal, preserves. It almost guarantees that whatever is left there will eventually be found. This leads to a disturbing thought. What if that was the point? What if this wasn't about disposal but about display, a deliberate act of communication? Some investigators theorize it could be an illegal cremation service, cutting corners and dumping remains. But that doesn't explain the strange, methodical placement of the piles. Others suggest a ritual, but one that belongs to no known cult or religion. It's a complete anomaly. This leaves us with the most unsettling possibility of all. That whoever did this wanted these remains to be found. That the 70 piles are not just evidence of a crime, but a message. A statement written in a language we can't yet comprehend, using human lives as ink. If that's true, what kind of message requires 70 souls to write? And who is it for? As the official investigation grinds on, a terrifying question hangs in the air. How many other deserts hold similar secrets? How many other offerings are out there waiting for the wind to reveal them? We don't know if we've stumbled upon the end of a horrific story or just the very first chapter. The desert is silent, but its secrets are starting to speak, and we are not prepared for what they have to say. The third baffling mystery tonight takes us to Australia. On a clear evening, a private plane took off from Tasmania. Its destination, a routine flight along Australia's southern coast. The aircraft was state-of-the-art, packed with transponders, emergency beacons, and advanced communication systems, designed to ensure that, even in a total disaster, some trace would be left behind. Some signal would be sent. But there was nothing. The plane simply vanished from radar. No distress call, no warning. No sign that the crew even knew they were in danger. 1 second, it was a dot moving across the air traffic control screen. The next, it was gone. The change was instantaneous. No descent, no deviation from its flight path. Just presence, then absence. Search operations began almost immediately. Planes, ships, satellites. Everything was deployed. The search area was huge, defined by the plane's fuel capacity and its last known position. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. But they found nothing. No debris. No oil slick. Not a single personal item. The emergency locator beacon, which should have activated automatically on impact, remained silent. It was as if the plane and everyone on board had been erased from existence. This silent vanishing feels unnervingly familiar, but also deeply wrong. We all remember Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, which disappeared in 2014. That event sparked years of speculation and the largest maritime search in history. But that was a massive airliner over the vast open ocean. And even then, we eventually found fragments. We recovered some trace of its existence. This was a smaller plane, over more contained waters, with newer technology. Yet the vanishing was even more absolute. The theories that have been put forward just highlight how little we know. Catastrophic structural failure might explain a rapid descent, but not the complete lack of debris. The ocean in that area isn't so deep that a wreck would be impossible to find. What about a controlled crash? That could explain the lack of a distress call, but radar showed the aircraft was over water when it disappeared. And again, what about the emergency beacon? It's built to survive impacts that would destroy the plane itself. Could it have been deliberate action by the pilot? We can't rule it out. But this would require not just a dark motive, but also expert knowledge of how to disable multiple redundant safety systems all at once. Even then, there should still be physical wreckage somewhere. This leaves one more possibility. It's a stretch, but in the face of zero evidence, we can't dismiss it. What if the aircraft didn't crash at all? What if it flew low, under the radar, and landed somewhere secret? A place where those on board either chose to hide or were forced to. This idea sounds like a conspiracy theory. It requires a motive we can't even guess at, and capabilities that seem unbelievable. But without a single piece of physical evidence, we can't disprove it with logic alone. All we're left with is the stark, unsettling fact of the vanishing. We live in an age where we track ships across oceans in real time, where satellites can spot a car from space, where every phone is a location beacon. Yet we have completely lost an entire aircraft and its passengers. It's a mystery that feels like it belongs to a bygone era, not our hyper-connected world. The official search has been scaled back now. The hope of finding survivors has faded, replaced by the grim hope of just finding something, anything, to give families closure and to understand what went wrong. But as the months tick by, a darker question starts to surface. What else is slipping through the cracks in our surveillance? How many more disappearances are happening right under our noses? It's a chilling reminder that no matter how much we observe and record, the world is way bigger, more complex, and way more mysterious than we can ever truly understand. The unknown has burst into our sky, and when we look for answers, all we see is the reflection of our own searching eyes on the surface of the water, which holds its secrets deep below. We end where we began, with incursions. With boundaries breached, the questions that resist the pressure of investigation and remain, despite every technological advantage, unanswered. 2025 should have been a year of clarity. We possess tools our ancestors could not have imagined. We have wrapped the earth in sensors and declared it known. We have built systems that track record and analyze every movement across land, sea, and sky. And yet, in this year that has just passed, fundamental mysteries emerged in the heart of that surveilled world.
Oh.
Drones crossed into protected airspace and could not be stopped. Human remains appeared in the desert without explanation of purpose or origin. An aircraft vanished from the sky as completely as if it had never been. These are not ancient enigmas softened by time and legend. These are contemporary failures. They occurred under observation. They happened within systems designed explicitly to prevent them. They represent not gaps in historical knowledge, but gaps in real-time awareness. Not the limits of what we once knew, but the limits of what we can know now. Perhaps this is the true lesson of the year of unexplained incursions. That mystery persists not because we lack technology, but because human intention, human action, and the physical world itself remain fundamentally opaque in ways that technology cannot remedy. That surveillance provides data, but data is not understanding. That we can record what happens without comprehending why or who, or even in some cases, whether our interpretation of events matches what actually occurred. The unknown does not wait at the edge of civilization anymore. It does not require remote jungles or unexplored ocean trenches. It exists in the spaces between what we observe and what we understand. It emerges from human choice, from mechanical failure, from complexities that exceed our models. It persists because the world, despite appearances, has not yet been solved. As we move forward into another year, these mysteries remain open. Investigations continue. Perhaps answers will emerge. Perhaps the invisible fleet will be traced to its operators. Perhaps the desert will yield the identities and stories of those whose remains were left there. Perhaps the ocean will surrender its claim on the vanished aircraft, but perhaps not. Perhaps these incursions will join the long catalog of unexplained events that define the boundary between what we know and what we can only witness, record, and acknowledge as beyond our current capacity to explain. This has been Whispered Chronicles, echoes of forgotten lore. Thank you for listening. Remember, in this age of answers, sometimes the most important questions are the ones that refuse resolution. Till the next mystery calls us back into the unknown, stay curious, stay questioning, and stay aware that the world remains far stranger than we permit ourselves to believe.